Now hear the word of the Lord from Isaiah 9, 6 and 7. For a child is born to us, a son is given to us. The government will rest on his shoulders, and he will be called Wonderful Counselor, Mighty God, Everlasting Father, Prince of Peace. His government and its peace will never end. He will rule with fairness and justice from the throne of his ancestor David for all eternity. The passionate commitment of the Lord of heaven's armies will make this happen. This is the word of the Lord. Thanks be to God.
You may be seated. Oh, good morning, Sojourn. Peace be with you. It's great to be with you all this morning. If you're a guest or if you're visiting with us, my name's Jonah, and I'm one of the pastors here at Sojourn. Thanks for coming. Big week in the life of our church. I got several things to talk about before the sermon. Y'all know about Wednesday, right? Christmas Eve. Christmas Eve. If you didn't know, turn on the stress machines. So we have two services here on Christmas Eve. One is at 4 p.m., and that's kind of more of like a family-style service. There'll be a portion where we gather all the kind of 12 and under kids up front, and it's going to be Maria Evans and Connie Laughlin have a little surprise for us. So, hey, I see Connie. She's so pumped about it. Look at her, yeah. Yeah, it's a sweet time. It's a sweet family time. If you are expecting like a quiet, peaceful Christmas Eve experience, the 4 p.m. will not be that. It will be filled with the sounds of life, little ones just running around and laughing. It's really delightful, but just know what you're getting into if that's the one you want to come to. And then if what you're really wanting is an extra dose of Christmas magic, the 11 p.m. service is kind of our traditional candlelight service. So the room is dark. It's dark and cold outside, candles going. It's really beautiful. So that's 11 p.m. 4 p.m. family style, 11 p.m. kind of traditional Christmas Eve candlelight service. 4 p.m., 11 p.m. We got it? You can invite your friends if you want. You can invite your cousin if you want. Second, is Joe Titchener in here? Oh, buddy. Let's all take a moment and look at his hair. So, Joe Titchener, if you guys don't know, if you've just recently been coming, Justin Schaefer. Is Justin Schaefer in here? Justin Schaefer. I'm going to just make everybody uncomfortable. Everybody's in the room right now. Justin Schaefer was our pastor of worship for a million years, 100 years. And last spring said that he was part of the launch team here. And last spring he said he wanted to transition out and pursue other options. He's still one of our pastors here. And so first you got to know, I've been in the church game for a minute. For someone to be on staff at a church for a long time, over a decade, and then to say, I think I want to try something else, but I want to stay here and I want to continue pastoring here, is just not normal. It speaks to Justin and Meg's character. It speaks to the love the church has for them. And in the back of my mind, I was like, we'll see how it goes. But this usually doesn't go well. And obviously, Justin leaving left a huge hole for us on the staff. And so we asked Joe if he would come in part-time and fill in. And that transition went so incredibly well. Joe has been unbelievable in how he served us on Sundays. And if you've never been on staff at a church, it's just a strange thing sometimes. Early mornings, there's other things that you do that aren't in your job. Is this my job? Is this not my job? And so Joe's been unbelievable in the transition between Justin to where we are now. And you should also know Joe has like a real job too, like a full-time, all-the-time job. And as good as Joe is at this job, would you believe it if he's also good at his other job? A shock to nobody. So while he's been killing it here, metaphorically, he's also been doing a great job at his real job, and his responsibilities have increased. So a couple weeks ago, he came and said, hey, this long-term is not sustainable for me. I'm okay now. This has been great. I love it here, but like I can't do this forever. And I was like, all right, well, won't he do it? Like the Lord will provide, something will happen. And I was like, okay, well, do you want to transition? And I guess we should start looking for somebody. And he's like, well, I talked to Ryan Marsh about it. And so like, if I could explain to you guys the threads that have been woven over the last 3 years to bring us to a spot now that how this happened, like it's just really unbelievable. So long story short, Ryan's here too. Ryan and Tatiana. So over the next couple of weeks, it'll be official in January. Joe's transitioning out, and Ryan's transitioning in to be on staff with us. So there's Ryan and his beautiful family, Tatiana and his children. Ryan we got distracted in the first service about how good your guys' hair is. You can talk to somebody at the 9 o'clock service. I don't know why I think about it. So really, we thank God for you, Joe, and for Karen, for your family. You've been unbelievable, and we're really excited for Ryan. So, yep, fun staff transition. And then last, just one more time on Mary Mission here, our year-end giving campaign. If you don't check the weekly email, which I highly recommend you do, Pastor Bobby puts a lot of thought, and there's incredible information in there. But some time in the course of last week, we crossed over our year-end giving goal into $53,000 of year-end giving. So thank you all. I shouldn't be surprised at this point, but just overwhelmed with gratitude for you guys and your generosity. And again, if you missed it, Summit Church in Naples, Florida sent us a check to go to the playground. So we're really grateful for that. And we've started sending the money out. Last week, Chrissy Smith, one of our deacons, loaded her Honda Odyssey up with diapers and wipes to go to the DCS, that emergency kind of foster shelter with supplies that we talked about a few weeks ago. And she said that everyone just started crying when she pulled up. And it wasn't even all that we had. And so this is making meaningful impact here in our community. So if you gave, I'm really grateful. Thank you for that. And if you're still wanting to give, all the money from this point goes to setting money aside to renovate our playground. Last week, we talked about kind of some of the community benefits, like why as a good neighbor would we want to build a new playground? And I want to take just a minute or two to talk about why this makes sense for us as a church. And there's some difficult realities that we'll have to talk about to make sense of it. But big picture, it's one of the really unique things about Christianity, really the whole Judeo-Christian tradition, is it has been revealed to us that all humans are made in the image of God, which is to say we carry a spark of divinity in us, the fingerprints of the Creator. In some ways, to be a human means we reflect to the world the Creator God. More specifically, this means that every person, every kind of person, every shape of person, every color of person matters. Matters to God and matters to us. So how does a playground fit in with that? This is wild. They've done studies on this kind of stuff. 55% of parents said they keep their children with disabilities from participating in church activities. 55% of parents who have children with some kind of need say, no, we're not going to let them go to this church activity. Why would they do that? The first response, the first answer was because churches don't provide adequate support for my children. And with that, it means the child cannot participate. It's a practical problem. The space isn't equipped. There aren't adequate resources or support to help my child, so my child literally cannot participate in the activities. 46% of those parents say they didn't get their child involved because their child was not included or welcomed. It's a relational issue too. There's practical and relational issues. 85% of churches in the United States have no ability to serve individuals with disabilities. I don't know if you heard that number. Well, I'm going to say it again. 85%. Less than 10% of the worldwide disabled population participates in Christian communities. Isn't that crazy? Another way to think about it is this group remains one of the largest unreached people groups in the whole world. Over the years, we had a 100-year-old building purchased for us from someone outside of our church. Our first renovation, the first time we ever raised money to try to change our facility, was to redo that lobby space. It was sparked by needing wheelchair-accessible restrooms. Last year, you may remember, we raised money to put in a wheelchair lift so folks who had problems on steps could get downstairs. We're receiving quotes right now on renovating the downstairs bathroom. Y'all been to that creepy bathroom across from the kitchen? Yeah, its days are numbered. We want to turn that into like a family-style restroom. My point is that the playground isn't the only project. It's not the only way we're trying to make our building more accessible to people with various needs. It's just the most expensive. And it's the biggest. And it's for people in our church and outside of our church. And it gives our church another opportunity to show people what it means to be made in the image of God and to create space for people that most churches aren't. So if that's something you're interested in, if you'd like our help to help our church serve those who are largely underserved in American churches, year-end giving remains a great option. If you'd like to give, again, every dollar at this point is going to be set aside to renovate playground equipment. The total budget's over $200,000 at this point. So if you'd like to give, you can write year-end giving in a check, and when the baskets go by at the end of service or in one of the boxes in the front or back, you can drop it in there. Or if you give online, just make sure you hit the year-end giving drop-down menu and give that way. So thank you all so much. I feel very confident we're going to have a playground real soon, and I'm grateful for you guys. I have no idea how to transition into preaching a sermon now. So, ready? Ready? Thank you. Here we go. Have you noticed that the way we refer to someone says something of our relationship with them? The label we put on it, the label we give a relationship speaks to the expectations and the responsibilities of the relationship. We name people differently based on our relationship to them. I learned this from a good friend, a fellow pastor, Dr. Jamal Williams. He's a pastor at Sojourn Midtown. He's going to be preaching here in a couple weeks. If you never heard him preach, you in for a treat. So, I don't know, some time ago, our church was part of a much larger multi-site church thing. And all you really need to know is that it was so unnecessarily complicated, which meant there were a lot of meetings and a lot of figuring stuff out. And, here I am on staff at a church, and you have certain expectations of what being on staff at a church is going to be like. And I thought we were all friends. And I remember talking to Jamal after a meeting. Someone had just been mean to me. They had treated me poorly. And I was talking to Jamal about it, and I said, I just expected more from a friend. I'm sure you all have had meetings where someone was mean to you or rough, and you're like, yikes. And I said, Jamal, I expected more from a friend. And he said, well, there's your problem. He said, he's not your friend. That guy's a ministry colleague. And I kind of went like that, like a dog, just. That person you work with begins as a colleague, not a friend. And if you work in nonprofit or you work in a church scenario, just because you work together doesn't mean you're a friend. It doesn't mean you can't become friends, but you have a work colleague, that person you see at work. And do you know what they become if you enjoy each other at work over the span of months, maybe a year? They might graduate to become your buddy at work. You got a buddy at work? That's my work buddy. Your work buddy goes along well enough, and you might do something crazy, like meet for happy hour at Applebee's on a Thursday. And you do happy hour for a couple years, and now maybe we're friends. Now maybe there's a progression there. When you see someone as a colleague, you've got different expectations for them than when you call them a friend. Maybe you have the privilege of spending time with some of the older saints in our church. The younger folks, like the 35 and under, tend to be confused and overwhelmed. Amen? See, they pretend like they're not. The 40-year-olds, the 40 and up, we don't have to pretend anymore. They're just, I think 20 to 35, you're just surprised how confusing it is. And by the time you get to your 40s, you're like, it's just, we're not going to know anything until we die. So the young and confused, they reach out to an older person that appears to have it figured out. Some of you have done this. That first meeting, someone's like, oh, where are you going? And they're like, I have an appointment with somebody at church. You have that appointment, the coffee goes well, you have 2, 3, 4 meetings over the span of a few months, and then you start saying, I'm meeting with my mentor. See what I'm saying? You meet with a mentor, you receive advice and guidance, and this happens for a few years. And have you ever thought about how we describe that older person that is dear to us, that we trust, they've earned that trust over years, and above all, we find ourselves wishing to be more like them? We say things like, oh, she's like a mother to me. He's like a father to me. I think the highest compliment we can give a brother or sister in Christ is to call them, to name them, spiritual father, spiritual mother. If I introduced you to someone after church and said, oh, this is my counselor, that would communicate something to you about what my relationship with this person is like. If I said, oh, this man is my spiritual father, you can feel the weight of that. It says something, what we name somebody, of the expectations and the responsibilities of a relationship. In the names given to us for this child in Isaiah chapter 9, there's an increasing intensity in the titles. By intensity, I mean an increasing closeness. The first two names that were given to us are Wonderful Counselor and Mighty God. These speak mostly to what he will do for us, the function that he will do for us. As a wonderful counselor, he will give us divine guidance, miraculous help, advice, feedback. Over time, he heals and tends to our wounded souls. As mighty God, he will protect us. We said his divine power and strength are not coming at us, they're coming for us. So over time, he'll replace our fear with confidence as we learn how to let him stand before us. These are functions of what he will do. But here in this third title, we get more of who he is to us. Less what he does, more how he relates to us. He was to us a mentor, a protector, and now we learn that the name of the Lord is Everlasting Father. Everlasting Father. To the audience that first heard Isaiah say this, it probably felt jarring to them because the first two titles sounded more like military rulers or like a political leader. This name lets us know he's so much more than that. He's not less than that, but he's far more than that, which is such good news if you're a human who pays the least bit of attention. Because maybe you've noticed one of the real tragedies of putting your hope in a political leader. What do I mean by putting your hope in them? They're the only one that can save us. They're the only one that can do it. They're the only one we can rely on. So I'm going to talk about politics and stuff for a little bit. Let's just all be uncomfortable together. I'm like sick to my stomach about it right now, so we'll just see what happens. Leave if you must. Have you noticed, like, no matter how much you love the president, if you don't like this president, just remember the last president that you liked. What happens after the president you like's term is up? At least what does the Constitution say is supposed to happen? A new president comes in, right? This guy was amazing. And now we got this guy. And maybe when this guy's time's done, we'll get the next guy. The next guy was amazing. Oh, but now we get the next guy. You see what I'm saying? Maybe you're more into the monarchy. What happens when the good king dies? You get the next king. What happened when David dies? Who is king after King David? Okay, that's good. And Solomon was, if David was an A, Solomon was maybe like a B minus. Who was king after Solomon? Anybody? One lady got it in the first service. Rehoboam, somebody said it. Connie laughing. He was an F minus. One generation from God's anointed King David, you have division and civil war. Israel collapsed within one generation of God's anointed king. You have to know, especially if you claim to be a Christian, that human power is fleeting. Human power is borrowed. It's on loan from someone else. Any human power is temporary. Any human reign is temporary. But this child who is king, did you see what it said? He is the everlasting Father. I love reading dictionaries because you get to see how big words actually are. One of my favorite definitions of everlasting is in perpetuity. Which if you want to feel smart, just try to say that word. In perpetuity. One of the neat things it means forever, but not like a normal forever. It's a forever with no beginning. I'm going to say some things to you that don't make any sense, but this is what we confess as Christians. King Jesus, when did his reign begin? Never. It always was. From eternity past, there has never been a time where King Jesus was not king. His reign has no beginning. It exists in perpetuity. Everlasting means it's ongoing, which means right now King Jesus is reigning. It had no beginning, and it's active right now. Everlasting means, I don't know what I just said. Continuous? Is that what I said? I don't remember. I wanted to say it means it never had a beginning. It's continuous. It's going on right now, and it's ongoing. It goes forever. You can look at forever in the past, and way back there on the throne, you see King Jesus. Look forever into the future, eternity plus one, and you'll see King Jesus on the throne. The child has always been king. The child is king right now, and the child will be king forever. He is everlasting. The New Testament goes to great lengths to try to show us this and explain this to us. One of the most beautiful summaries of all of what this means is found in one of the first Christian songs ever written in Colossians chapter 1. Listen to this. Let your imagination be set on fire by this. Christ is the visible image of the invisible God. He existed before anything was created and is supreme over all creation. For through him God created everything in the heavenly realms and on earth. He made the things we can see and the things we can't see, such as thrones, kingdoms, rulers, and authorities in the unseen world. Everything was created through him and for him. He existed before everything else, and he holds all creation together. If you need evidence that the Lord Jesus, the supreme God of the universe, is paying attention to you, you need to ask yourself a question like, am I currently alive? Did you see what Colossians said? He holds the molecules of the universe together. We have these petty humans that talk about their power and their rule, while King Jesus is holding the molecules of their body together. The fact that we're alive and that we exist at all is evidence that King Jesus is reigning. And even more than that, that he's paying attention to us. How does this all-powerful creator, this mighty God, the sustainer, how does this king describe the way he relates to us? Not as a king to his subjects, not as a president to his constituents, not as a boss to his employees, but as a father to his children. What we label a relationship says something of the responsibilities and expectations of the relationship. I think phrases like this, everlasting Father, is so hard for us, especially when it's in a political context like it is here. It's like, can you remember the last politician? Like, in my life, it's basically been people who we agree with more than we disagree with, but I can't remember the last politician where kind of collectively we were like, we aspire to be like him. I hope my daughter becomes like her. A few of us had fathers we wanted to be like. So it's hard for us to imagine what this means. You need to know that a good dad sees you. A good dad protects you. He wraps you in a warm embrace. Good dads connect with your heart. Good dads teach you how to feel, and they teach you how to respond in healthy, life-giving ways to what you feel. They teach you how to use your strength for good. Good dads help us make sense of the world. Good dads celebrate us. They rejoice over us. They empower us, and this makes us feel so strong, confident we are loved, confident we are okay, confident we are safe. And certainly one of the tragedies of life as it is that no one can do all of that as we are. All of us are limited. To call someone father was to say, I want to be like you. I want to live as you live, do what you do. To suggest the king would be this way. Can you even imagine? Can you imagine if the person in the White House was someone you aspired your children to be like? To call someone father is to confess, I trust you. I love you. I know that I'm safe with you. Again, the presence of a good dad fills your soul with confidence and strength, because even if you don't know what to do you remember this as a kid? Even when you don't know what to do, who always knows what to do? Do you remember that feeling? And even in the saddest of childhoods, there's often at least a moment where you were scared, and then dad came home and you knew it's going to be okay, dad's here. And I've been doing this long enough, I'm not so naive to act like there isn't a lot of pain around these issues in this room and in this church. I know so many people that had dads that left us feeling inadequate rather than loved. Fathers that left us scared, not safe. Fathers that left us doubting, not confident. And I don't know, frankly, you guys, I'm not sure what to say about the politics. Hasn't it all just become so embarrassing? We're doing something weird here at our church. And if you're new, you should know there's Republicans in the room right now, and you should know there's Democrats in the room right now. And we're trying to figure out, is it true that people who are different can live and love together? And boy, I just hope that collectively as the people of God, we can agree that it's embarrassing right now. The disgusting political violence and the ways that we respond when someone who we don't like is murdered. The constant stream of lying and bullying. The celebration of violence and death. The cruelty and the vengeance. Frankly, it's just so shameful. Some of the best news, though, about Jesus being king, I'm just going to tell you guys some true things. Did you know you never have to worry that Jesus is going to embarrass you? You know, you never have to worry that Jesus will be cruel to you. You don't have to worry about what Jesus is going to tweet next. You don't have to worry about photos leaking from Jesus' past. We don't have to worry that something awful is going to come out about what he did. Did you know you don't have to worry that Jesus is disappointed in you? Did you know you'll never have to worry about what Jesus is going to do to you? One way we can figure out the mess or find a Christian way of being different together, I hope I'm not being too simplistic. I think a really helpful thing we can do in discerning what do we call a thing? How do we react to an interaction? Whether it's with an earthly father, whether it's with a politician, we can ask ourselves something like, would Jesus behave this way? Can I see Jesus speaking this way? And if the answer is an obvious no, then we can know where that kind of statement and behavior is coming from. So again, here's my heart. I'm glad we're a purple church politically. Red and blue mixed gets purple, in case you didn't. That's all. I said that to somebody recently, and they're like, purple? What's a purple church? I want us to be a people that delight in the fruit of the Spirit. I want us to be a people that are looking for the fruit, not just the words that are easy to say. If you're new to following Jesus or new to this kind of a conversation, I want to remind you of what will show up in your life when you follow Jesus. This is promised to us. The Holy Spirit produces this kind of fruit in our lives. Listen to these words: love, joy, peace, patience, kindness, goodness, faithfulness, gentleness, and self-control. This is what we must expect of Christians and those who claim the name of Christ. And when our leaders behave in ways contrary to the fruit of the Spirit, Christians must speak up. Christians, we must demand more, not less. Because when our leaders fail us, which they will, this one will, the next one will, every human will. When they fail us, it's a reminder that our hope is in King Jesus, not them. We must expect more so that we do not succumb to the toxicity of this cultural moment. We must not allow the cancer in our society to metastasize into our souls. Which means we have to be a people who prioritize the fruit of the Spirit in our lives. How do you do that? Spend time with your father. Why are you like your dad? Because you spend time with your dad. What's the Christian plan for discipleship? Spend time with God, and you'll become like him. It means we reject meanness. Gosh, I feel like we could talk all afternoon. When did it become so expected and okay for Christians to be so mean? We reject meanness and bullying and cruelty, and instead we put on peace, love, and patience. And even on social media. I've been wrestling with how to talk about this for a long time, but you guys need to know. I've lost count how many people have talked to me in private to say, I'm thinking about leaving the church because the way the members post on Facebook makes me think I don't belong here. You know, you can say something true and be mean about it, and that's not a fruit of the Spirit. We will be a people of joy, of love, of peace. We will reject our culture's temptation to divide, to name call. If that stuff bothers you, we will not overcome bullying by becoming bullies. That's not what King Jesus did. We will be a people of love, joy, peace, patience, kindness, gentleness, all of these things. Why? Because this is the way the everlasting Father relates to us. And we want to be like our Father. When the world is harsh, you see how gentle Jesus has been. When the world has been mean, he has been so kind. As our world screams for violence, he speaks words of peace. When the world tells us to divide, Jesus unites. So we have a really wonderful opportunity for those who claim the name of the Lord to speak and love and serve others, even those we disagree with, in ways that helps the world understand what Jesus is actually like. The God King, who comes as a child, shows us most clearly how he intends to relate to us. Yes, his reign will last forever, but why is an everlasting reign good news? Because the child is to us a father. His reign is marked by parental benevolence, which means he looks at you not as a subject or a servant, as a failure or a disappointment. He looks at you as son. He looks at you as daughter. So place your hope in the Lord. Come to him. Trust him. And learn why the name of the Lord is Everlasting Father. If you're willing and able, stand with me and we'll pray together.